This is for a really tall person. Do you want to adjust it? I did. Okay.
Good morning and welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Carrie Holley-Hurt. Thanks to you good people, by the way. Thanks to you all. My pronouns are she, her, and I am so excited to be with y'all today. I get to be with you today, and I get to be with you next week. And if you sign up for Wellspring, then I get to see you twice a month for the next several months. So please do that. Talk to me or Chris after the service. Until then, thank you for joining us. We who bring a teaching of hope, we who bring a saving message, who welcome all to our doors, Buddhists and Christians, atheists and pagans, straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, intersex, all who are searching, seeking, looking for more. More meaning, more service, more love, all of us gathered here together. I invite you to put your smartphones on the worship mode, which means it won't make any sounds, but you can still post on social media about things you hear today. Let those who can't be with us this morning share a little bit of our experience, maybe even an invitation to join us next week. Now please rise in either body or spirit for our first hymn, number 30, Over My Head, and remain standing for our chalice lighting.
Okay, our chalice today is being lit by Lucian Samarigo, and Arden is brother, and he's going to assist, and Arden will be the chalice extinguisher. Okay, you ready, Arden? I'm sorry, Lucian. Okay, this is the one. Okay, you can hold that, and you can put it back down after you're done. Okay, there. And Owen is here to help too. Okay, now as they're lighting the chalice, thank you, Curtis. As they're lighting it, we remember that this is a congregation not bound by creed, but by covenant. May those in agreement affirm our church covenant now. Thank you, Lucian, Arden, and Owen. Thank you very much. So now we're going to affirm our covenant. We affirm a caring of and for all ages, seeking wisdom, doing service, and living with integrity. In our diversity, our covenant holds us in unity as we celebrate our shared spiritual journey. You can sit down now. And hello, my name is Nancy Sheehy, and my pronouns are she and her, even though I'm Nancy Sheehy. But my pronouns are she and her. I always, once in a while, I've gotten that mixed up. So. One thing that I particularly love about this church is that we all can come as we are. We don't have to be perfect. This is a no judgment zone. Often I am stymied by tasks that involve a lot of people, and I've learned here through my 3 years at Live Oak that we can come as we are, and there's no such thing as perfection. And I love that about our church. Okay, I'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking this chance to walk through our doors and join us for worship. If it's your first time here, please stop by afterward at the visitor table in the narthex so we can meet you and answer any questions you might have. So our call to worship today is by A. Powell Davies. And he writes, "Let me tell you why I come to church. I come to church and would, whether I was a preacher or not, because I fall below my own standards and need to be constantly brought back to them. I'm afraid of becoming selfish and indulgent. And my church of the free spirit, brings me back to what I want to be. I could easily despair. Doubt and dismay could overwhelm me. My church renews my courage and my hope. It is not enough that I should think about the world and its problems at the level of a newspaper report or magazine discussion. It could too soon become too low a level. I must have my conscience sharpened until it goads me to the most thorough and responsible thinking of which I am capable. I must feel again the love I owe to others. I must not only hear about it, but feel it. In church, I do. I am brought toward my best, in every way toward my best."
Each Sunday, when we gather as a congregation, we bring our joys and sorrows with us into this room. When we ask for remembrances or celebration or prayers or thoughts, we make this sanctuary a sacred circle. So today we have a few. From Rosie, I had a great yesterday, theater and vegan food. That sounds amazing. From Apollo, for once I have a good grade in English. Apollo, if Apollo's parents are here, he hasn't updated the grade yet, but it's fine. Blend. All right, and Mary says, UU members in Augusta, Georgia, home severely damaged due to the storm. Yes. And finally, our hearts are with everyone in North Carolina, in Florida, in Georgia, and in all the places that the hurricane has hit. And for, of course, the loved ones who are anxiously waiting to hear for those that they love. And for all of that, for all that we can hold for each other, for the joys and sorrows, for the spoken and, of course, the unspoken, we bear witness with our care and our concern. Please join me in singing.
So right now, if you would please rise as you're willing and able for hymn 155, Circle Around for Freedom.
Good morning. I am Chris Jarman, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development. Did I get them all? Yeah? All right, we're good. All right, so today I want to share with you a story, and you're going to help some, so keep your ears open. And I want to tell you a story that is a folk tale from India, and it's called Strength in Unity. A dark cloud of worry spread across the forest. No longer were the hunters satisfied with capturing birds in their snares one at a time. They had developed a new technology. They were taking long strands of fiber and tying them together. Do you know what they were making? What do you think? Did I hear nets? Nets. Yes, nets. Now, instead of capturing a single bird, they could capture a handful, a dozen, hundreds of them, all at the same time. And the birds that escaped this new invention, they were frightened. What should they do? Some birds, they lost all hope. It's pointless, they peeped and they cried with feeble voices. There's no way we can escape this horror. We might as well give up right now. Have you ever felt like that? Yeah. Others got busy building up their muscle strength. They were sharpening their bills. If I get caught, they said, I'll be able to cut my way free and I'm strong enough to fly away. It was encouraging to hear hope, but not all the birds liked the brazen approach of the strong birds. Some of the birds said, if I escape while others die, my life will be filled with unhappiness. A meeting was called, and the birds talked back and forth, and I heard birds this way. And I heard birds this way. As the birds all spoke together, awesome. And at last, when they were done planning, you guys are awesome. When they were done planning, when they were done talking and peeping at each other, they had a plan. And sure enough, it wasn't long before they had a chance to use that plan. Beep, beep. Many birds heard the call, a call of distress. They all got silent and they listened. Where was it coming from? Who was it? Birds of all shape and size flew towards that sound. They landed on the branches of a big tree. But where was the injured bird? They couldn't see it. Suddenly, whoosh, they were trapped under a net the size of a football field. No, I'm just kidding. They landed on the branches of the big tree, and the net dropped down on them, and some of the birds began to panic, and they cried, but others remained calm. And soon a whisper ran through the flock of birds that had been caught. Take a deep breath. Remember the plan. When the leader of the birds sings, let us all flap our wings together. The whisper was repeated. As soon as it resounded from one end of the net to the other, they kept whispering it. Take a deep breath. Remember the plan. When the leader of the birds began to sing, let us all flap our wings. The birds breathed in. The leader whistled a plaintive note. The birds began to flap their wings. Can you help me flap your wings? It's going to be hard at first. Can you flap your wings? Be careful of your neighbor. It's really hard work. And when it began to feel impossible, some of the birds, they looked over at their neighbors who were also hard at work, and they felt encouraged. They continued to flap their wings, and suddenly they lifted right up out of the tree. They rose higher and higher into the sky, carrying the net with them. The leader whistled a plaintive note once again. And the net slid off of the birds' backs and dropped to the ground. And after that, a new medley could be heard in the forest. We're stronger together. We're stronger together. That is the story of how the birds met their worst fear. And it's the story of how we can meet ours. I wonder how many times we felt alone, and when we looked around and we saw others who encouraged us, did it give us strength? Were we able to work collaboratively? It's kind of like what Mr. Rogers always says, look for the helpers. They're always there. Look around you and find your strength from others so that we can all find liberation together.
I have a reading today from Ursula K. Le Guin. If you deny any affinity with another person or kind of person, if you declare it to be wholly different from yourself, as men have done to women, and class has done to class, and nation has done to nation, you may hate it or defy it. But in either case, you have denied its spiritual equality and its human reality. You have made it into a thing to which the only possible relationship is a power relationship. And thus, you have fatally impoverished your own reality.
So this whole month, y'all have been talking about love, which I'm excited about because I love to talk about love. It holds us together. It's what calls us outside of ourselves to join with others, to serve others, to help others, to care about what's happening to others even when we don't have a stake in the game. Love pushes us to grow, to do things that we don't think we're capable of doing, to sit in that really necessary discomfort. Love also holds us, and it comforts us. It breathes life into us. And now, as a faith, we have articulated that love is and has always been the center of our lives and our work. And that is right and good because it is only love that's going to get us to liberation. That physical, mental, and spiritual liberation for us and for all people everywhere. It's what we often call the beloved community. And we do that work, as Reverend Joanna has taught us, by loving the hell out of this world. The hells of racism and sexism and ableism and all of those horrible isms. The hells of hunger, lack of clean water, lack of safe shelter, lack of health care. The hells of disconnection and marginalization, incarceration, and violence. By doing this, we allow love to actually be centered in our lives and in our relationships with one another. This is liberation. No one going unhoused or hungry, everyone having access to good education, and y'all, no more GoFundMes for someone's cancer treatment or funeral costs or to get out of war zones. That's a shame. Love has to be at the center of our religion if liberation is the goal. What do y'all think about that? Is liberation the goal? To me, it's powerful stuff, especially in a time of despair. Sorry. Sorry. It's actually what keeps me coming back to church, just like that reading from A. Powell Davies. Church is where I come to push past my despair so that I can sharpen my own consciousness, so I can redouble my commitment to the other. This is what we do in religious community, and, systems of supremacy have us all messed up. Just as I can get excited about what we can do together, about centering love and bringing about liberation, I can get overwhelmed by that vast gulf that exists between what we want and where we actually are. Sometimes it feels completely insurmountable. In one of the richest worlds in the world, 11% of the population lives at or below the poverty level. 15% of all children live in poverty. Of all the people that file for bankruptcy, 6.5% of them do that because of medical debt. Homelessness has been on the rise since 2017 and increased about 6% each year, which means that about 18 out of every 10,000 people at some point go unhoused. And of course, the Supreme Court just ruled that cities can make being unhoused a crime, which is going to perpetuate our already insane imprisoned population. In the United States, we imprison more people than any other nation in the entire world. We have actually grown our imprisoned population by 400% since the 1980s. Today, we imprison about 2 million people. 42% of those people are Black, which is grossly and unfathomably disproportionate in terms of population. But it does show our addiction to white supremacy and our commitment to anti-Blackness. I could go on and on. There are a lot of scary statistics out there. But y'all probably know this. You probably all know this. You probably know that where we are is very, very far away from centering love. It's huge. It's huge, and we are called to this work. We are called to narrow this gulf until it doesn't exist. And so how do we do this? How do we start to rip open systems of supremacy that create these unloving and oppressive state? The answer, or one of them, is that we have to stop participating. We have to stop participating in hierarchies that keep these systems in place. And one way to do that is to unlearn the charity mindset that we have been given and moved to a solidarity mindset. So a charity mindset is how we have been taught to meet and address the unmet needs of others. And let me just say, it is good to meet the unmet needs of others, okay? That is not the contention. The contention is that a charity mindset perpetuates the status quo because it is designed to exist within the systems that perpetuate the problem in the first place. And it does not ask us to critically address the systemic reasons that these problems exist. Matthew Desmond, in his really powerful book, Poverty by America, writes, "When we don't own property or we can't access credit, we become dependent on those who can, which in turn invites exploitation, because y'all, in capitalism, a bad deal for you is a good deal for me." In a charity mindset, instead of seeing the ways that the systems are constructed to benefit some at the expense of the other, it assumes that the individual is either the cause of their problem or is deficient in some reason, and that's why they have their problem. And if we can blame the individual, we don't have to look at the larger system, do we? Whereas solidarity, it looks past the individual into the larger system to understand why these things are happening. And this is captured really beautifully by Bishop Desmond Tutu when he said, "There comes a time when you have to stop just pulling people out of the river, and you gotta go up there and find out why they're falling in the first place." Now, this is a good point in the sermon, I think, to say, please don't stop what you're doing right now. If you are working with nonprofits, or you are handing out food, or you are doing anything that you consider terrible work, keep doing it. We do have to go upstream and work to change those systems that are responsible for causing those problems. And in the meantime, we also have to pull people out of the river, right? Unhoused people still need to feel safe. Children still need school supplies. People need to eat. The food that y'all provide for the Hill Country or Hill County ministries is a blessing. It's a blessing. Please do not stop that. What I'm saying, it's a mind shift. We need to shift away from this individual system perpetuating mindset that is based on inequality. And we need to shift to a solidarity mindset that says, I am not beholden to systems. I am beholden to people. In that way, we break down hierarchies, we break down inequalities, because solidarity operates on the premise of the inherent dignity and worthiness of all people. Sound familiar? Charity mindset is intertwined with systems of supremacy, which means it gives it more weight to those that white supremacy, heteropatriarchy thinks are great, right? So you're white, cis, straight, able-bodied, mostly men. And solidarity says that's hierarchical thinking. We don't need that. Everyone has something beautiful to contribute, and those that are actually most impacted have the most to contribute to actually create change because they understand the most about the systems. A powerful example of this is the 12 Black women who created the reproductive justice framework back in 1994. They were fed up with how we were looking at reproductive rights, and they taught us how to look at it more holistically. They said, Black women in this country have never, since 1619, had a real choice about when and to and if and how they were going to bring children into this world and how they were going to be raised. With this shift, they gave us a much deeper and beautiful framework in which we could think about bodily autonomy, child rearing, and what we should expect from our state so that we can raise our children in a safe environment. See, up until then, reproductive rights had been framed mostly by financially secure, able-bodied white women who, just because they were looking through their own lens, thought everyone had the same access to choice. And that just wasn't true. So moving from a charity mindset to a solidarity mindset is critical to the work of liberation because it gets more people involved so we can have a fuller understanding of the issues and create a deeper and more meaningful way to change them. Solidarity is centered in love, and it's the foundation of liberation. It's the foundation of the beloved community. And we get there by shifting away from seeing our work as charity to one of solidarity. That means we have to start by actually believing that change is possible. You know, we are swimming in waters that tell us things like, the poor will always be with us. How many of y'all heard that growing up? Poor will always be with us, right? Things are the way they are. Some people just have to be poor. First of all, that's a completely defeatist attitude, and I reject it. But it also completely ignores the fact that poverty and racism and sexism were created because they benefit some. For example, most of us, if we are not suffering from it, benefit from other people's poverty. Matthew Desmond writes, the duality of American life can make it difficult for some of us who benefit from the current arrangement to remember that the poor are exploited laborers, exploited consumers, and exploited borrowers, precisely because we are not. And it's sneaky because we don't often see it. We don't see what we're directly benefiting from. We don't see the child labor, the exploited labor. We don't see the mines where the cobalt is coming from for our iPhones and our electric cars. But people are being hurt, and we are benefiting nonetheless. And as a person with an iPhone and an electric car, let me tell you, sometimes that's hard. It's really hard when it hits and you realize that you are participating in so much suffering. But what we cannot do is we cannot be taken down by shame or defensiveness. We have to allow that really uncomfortable feeling that we have to just set in us. Let it stay with us. Let it grow us. It's scary, but y'all, love will hold you through it. She believes in you and she knows you got this. You can rely on her. Like our living tradition, we are allowed to grow and change. We are allowed to be complicated and messy and try to figure it out. That's why we meet together. That's why we do this together, so that we can do better going forward. So once we do that, once we say, yes, okay, things can change, we actually believe them, we're going to reject this false sense that things are the way they are, well, we have to then tear down those false walls that exist between us and them. It's a very human thing to say, I'm not like them. They're in their situation because of X, Y, and Z, and I would never do that, or that would never happen to me. How many of you have done that thing where you hear about some horrible tragedy and you almost immediately go fishing for details? Like, what weird little fact am I going to find that's going to put me far away from that tragedy? I know be honest, y'all, come on. Like, it's a human thing. It's such a human thing. It's scary. Most of us have never been taught how to be comfortable with other people's suffering, let alone our own. And that's why we try to rush to distance ourselves from the other person. And it's totally understandable. Let's be fair. We are trying to conjure up a sense of security, a sense of control. But y'all, it's an illusion. We are no different from the person with the tragedy. In 1886, Tolstoy wrote, "We imagine that their sufferings are one thing and our life another." The truth is, as we say we believe, we are all a part of the interconnected web of all existence. That our lives, whether lived in comfort or under a bridge or in a war zone, are all interconnected. We are woven together. Which means that our lives and our liberations are woven together. There is nothing that separates me from the person panhandling on the side of the highway. There is nothing that separates me from the person going bankrupt or going hungry or going in-house because of medical bills or because they had to decide between food and housing and cancer treatment. I saw so much of that in the hospital. There is nothing but maybe, therefore by the luck of the draw go I, that separates me from another human being on this planet. We shift into a solidarity mindset when we break down those false walls that we've created. And finally, we just start acting on those two things. We believe things can change, and we start to act on that. We believe that there is nothing that separates us from each other, and we begin to act on that. We start to listen to people and believe them and listen to them about what makes things better. And then we work in community to do it. If you hold a position of power, maybe this means you decenter yourself and you center those that are most impacted. Maybe you start to reframe what accountability looks like. What are the ways that you've been prioritizing system over people? Maybe it means we work hard to break our addiction to individualism and start to see that what we do for others is actually mutual aid, that we can ask for help too. We need to breathe into our bones a message that it is okay, it is right, and it is absolutely necessary for community help to ask for help. Now, that last one is a doozy for me, and it's probably a doozy for some of you. But we can do it because we want healthy communities. So y'all, we are not living in a society or a culture or a country or a state that has centered love. The gulf between where we want to be and where we actually are is huge, and that can feel so demoralizing. And yet we are called to this work. And I don't think that we get called to things if there is not good to do. We are powerful beyond measure. We believe in a more just, more loving, and more compassionate world, which means we act on it. And solidarity is how we're going to get there. It's how we are going to break down this system, how we are going to break through hierarchies and inequalities that crush people. We're not going to allow people to be smashed under the weight of those things that don't matter and don't actually have the power we have. May it always be so. Please join me in a moment of reflection in word and in silence. Listen with me to the words of Reverend Julika Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, to the truth that we are gathered together. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of some indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and then the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Now let's settle in and contemplate this for just a few moments of silence. Amen and blessed be.
We are the tradition of a free church. Our church and our community outreach are supported not from an outside source, but from within. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain the church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, is appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. The QR code or text information for donations is available in the back of the seat pockets in front of you. If you would like to donate by credit card, Apple or Google Pay, someone from stewardship can assist you near the kitchen by the bar there after the service. Now, this is the 5th Sunday that we're taking a collection. And as we gather in this beautiful sanctuary surrounded by peace and serenity of our church grounds, we are reminded of the many ways in which our space serves as a beacon of community and connection. Our doors are open not only to our congregation, but to countless organizations in our wider community, offering a place of welcome, support, and belonging. So it's through your generosity that we're able to maintain and share this sacred space, creating a home for meetings, events, and gatherings that uplift and unite. When we have this rare 5th Sunday offering, it's earmarked for special buildings and grounds upkeep. Today, as we give, let us do so with gratitude for the beauty that surrounds us and for the opportunity to extend that beauty beyond these walls. And I know if you'd like to help with your physical efforts and work in helping the Building and Grounds Committee, you just need to talk to Tim. Is Tim here? Oh, there's Tim. Talk to Tim, who's in charge of the Buildings and Grounds Committee, but it's a really beautiful place, and a lot of people benefit from this. And so as we're giving today for the Buildings and Grounds, let us do so with gratitude and to extend the opportunity beyond these walls to the community to share in this beauty. Your offering helps us to be a sanctuary of love and service for all. And as the ushers, Chris and Melissa, come forward to receive the offering, I invite you to say with me these words. We are building a beloved community with our labor and with our treasure. With gratitude, we receive the offering. May it help us to fulfill our mission in the world. Thank you.
Here feels like being at home. I love being with you. I love that we are part of a tradition that is centered in love, because I know that we have access to a fierce love that calls us to more love. When the world tells us we are unloved and that we have no power, I think it's so insistent because the opposite is true. I hope you, as you leave this place, as you go back and you start to hear those messages that you are not powerful, that you are not loved, you will remember it is only because you are so much. May you go in peace, but most importantly, may you go in love.
want to say thank you to Reverend Carrie for such a wonderful sermon. This morning, your invitation to the Faith Development Hour. We have a lot of things going on once again. First, I want to tell you about Voices of the Movement. This is presented by the Jedi team, and if you don't know who the Jedi team is, you got to do that, right? It's the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team, and they are hosting Voices of the Movement. And Tim Buckley, who was actually present during the Civil Rights Movement at, I want to say Selma, thank you, is first person experience, and is the facilitator of this class. The session today is going to concentrate and focus on the children who were involved in the Civil Rights Movement. All are always welcome to attend these sessions. It's a podcast that we listen to and a discussion with some readings. Even if you haven't attended another session, they're all standalone and you are always welcome to join. If that's not your jam for today, we also have our self-facilitated activities on our fellowship tables with things to keep your hands busy while you possibly have a conversation and delve deeper into the service that we listened to today. Our youth group is going to be finishing spray painting the library cart, and if you haven't seen it, it's really awesome. You should stop by and see it in the library when they're done. So you'll be doing that outside with Liz Waters, who I don't see. I'm sure she's here. And our kids, our new thing that we're doing with our kids, the kids have already had their faith development, so they're going to do Explore and Play now. So if you are an adult who wants to participate in adult RE and adult programming, the nursery is open until 12:45, and the kids will be doing Explore and Play, where they get to have their fellowship time. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you that Reverend Carrie and I today will be in the fellowship hall. Reverend Carrie has graciously offered to facilitate a program, a small group program called Wellspring with Us. It will be twice a month through till March, and we will be exploring the idea of this love at the center and covenant. And it is open only to 10 dedicated people because as a small group, we need everybody. If you're going to come, we hope that you will commit to coming to every session, and it's only 10 people. We have space for 9 right now. If you'd like to engage in this, it's going to be on Wednesdays, on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month, and you can come to Reverend Carrie or myself today and next week and sign up for it. As soon as we hit 10, it is closed. So don't miss this opportunity to have a deeply spiritual experience with Reverend Carrie. So I hope that you find what fits you best today. Thank you.
And now I invite you to rise for our closing hymn, number 1008, When Our Hearts Are in a Holy Place, and remain standing afterward for extinguishing our chalice.
When we trust on
remain standing while Lucian and Arden, I'm sorry. Arden's gonna extinguish it, and as they, yay, thank you guys. Thank Lucian for being such a great brother too, big brother. So we extinguished this flame here, that it may glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we're together again. You can just blow on that. You can, there, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You did it together. Yes. Togetherness and love. What a great ending for our sermon today. So it has been a gift to be together today. And please spend the next 5 minutes talking with someone you don't know. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-time visitors we have. They have handwritten name tags, if there are any here. And show them where the visitors' table and coffee are. Ask them some of the questions that are at the visitors' table. Maybe you can have a discussion around that, or invite them to join for the for Tim's RE session. In, I think it's, is it in 105? 105, okay. And may we all this week know the blessings of fellowship and love.